June 1993, Mumbai. The dead body of a baby boy was discovered outside the city limits on an isolated stretch of highway in some bushes. On investigation, the body was found to be that of 1-year-old Bunty. The boy had gone missing a few months ago. He was not the only one. Between the years 1990 to 96, a lot of young children disappeared in the western region of Maharashtra, missing until they were found later dead and rotting. Their bodies dumped away in the most remote of locations. Who were these children? Why were they killed? And who was the monster who hunted these young kids who could barely speak? I'm Anamika. Welcome to my world of mystery and anonymity. To the world of those stories that lie in wait around us, leaving us with unanswered questions that echo relentlessly through our thoughts, as if in an unbreakable magnetic loop. Join me on this expedition as we peel back the layers of these enigmas, diving into the uncharted waters of our world's most perplexing stories. The year is 1973. A young woman, Anjana Bai, arrived in Mumbai. She had ran away from Nasik with her lover, a truck driver. She dreamt of a better life in Mumbai with her newfound love and her child who was about to be born. She had a daughter and named her Renuka. Things would soon take a turn for the worse for Anjana Bai. Her lover deserted her soon after Renuka was born, and she was left alone in the big city of Mumbai to fend for herself and her young child. She resorted to petty crimes like stealing and pickpocketing to survive. Anjana Bai later married Mohan Gavit, a retired soldier, following which Seema was born in 1975. However, Anjana Bai's history of crime, mostly petty thefts and pickpocketing, resulted in repeated police harassment. Mohan was fed up of this and decided to leave Anjana Bai and remarry. This abandonment came as a big blow to Anjana Bai, and she was filled with rage and resentment. She held a deep grudge against Mohan and Pratibha Mohan Gavit, the woman he married. Anjana Bai made sure that she passed on this grudge and hatred to her daughters who could not forget their father. This is ultimately a story of a mother pushing her daughters into a world of crime because of her vindictive nature. Their crimes soon increased as Anjana Bai taught her daughters to steal too, often operating as a team. They moved around attending religious processions, festivals, other celebrations, and visited landmark temples. When everyone else was absorbed in prayer, the mother and daughters would get to stealing valuables and ornaments and would disappear into the crowd. This is how they survived, and soon stealing became routine. The elder daughter Renuka would get married in 1989 to Kiran Shinde, a tailor working in Pune, and the couple would have a son. This did not prevent Renuka from committing crime, and she continued stealing, often taking her newborn baby with her. In 1990, Renuka, along with her child Ashish, had gone to a temple. There was a large gathering at the temple. Renuka tried to snatch a purse, but she was caught. On being caught, she cried out loud and questioned the person as to why he had caught hold of her hand when she had a child with her and could not have been involved in the crime. Many people gathered around her, and seeing the mother and the child together, they let her go. Renuka had an evil smile on her face as she walked back home. She had found the perfect cover. Renuka narrated this incident to her sister Seema and mother Anjana Bai and told them how she had managed to escape as she had a child with her. It was after this incident that they decided to always take along a child while committing any crime. They hatched a conspiracy to kidnap small children below the age of 5 and use them as a prop or distraction to help them steal. They began kidnapping kids from crowded places. The kids were usually 1 to 5 years old and belonged to poor families whose parents did not have the means to search for their child for long or even file a police complaint. And even in those cases where a complaint was filed, no action was taken due to a lack of evidence. Whenever necessary, they used children and disposed them off when they were no longer useful. July 1990. Renuka was able to abduct a baby boy from a homeless family. The boy was named Santosh. Countless robberies were done using poor Santosh as a shield. April 1991. Santosh was brought to a temple in Kolhapur, Maharashtra by Anjanabai and her daughters. They planned to work together, Anjanabai and the boy acting as a distraction. Seema, the younger daughter, tried to snatch the purse of a person, but was caught and beaten by him. Her mother, Anjanabai, then intervened. She threw Santosh on the ground, who sustained a bleeding injury on his head. Many people gathered around, and seeing the bleeding wound on the head of the child, people consoled them. The matter was not reported to the police. On their way back, the child Santosh started crying as he was bleeding. Anjanabai was afraid that the crying, injured child might draw attention to them, and there was a likelihood of them being caught by police. He was no longer useful to them. Anjanabai pressed the mouth of Santosh and dashed his head on an electric post. Santosh sustained severe head injuries and died on the spot. Anjanabai washed her clothes at the water tap, leaving the dead body near some old rickshaws, and came back to their dharamshala. The boy's dead body was discovered the next morning. The police could not find any trace of the murder or gather enough evidence to convict anyone of the poor boy's death. In another instance, a 2-year-old boy was hung upside down and his head was slammed repeatedly against the wall. Another child was drowned by Renuka and Seema in the bathroom. They killed another 2.5-year-old girl, stuffed her body in a bag and took it to a cinema theatre where they watched a film and later dumped the body in the ladies' restroom. Countless other cases. The women could not even remember how many children they had killed. Kiran Shinde, Renuka's husband, helped the women dispose of the bodies. This continued for years without anyone noticing the pattern. Countless children lost their lives. Even though they were convicted of only 13 cases, the count is believed to be much higher. Some sources say it could be higher than 40 victims. October 1996. Mohan Gavit and his second wife Pratibha filed a kidnapping case against Anjanabai, Renuka and Seema Gavit. Their 9-year-old daughter Kranti was missing. They instantly knew who the suspects were, as Anjanabai's resentment for Pratibha and her children was evident. The 3 women who held a deep grudge against Mohan Gavit and his second wife went underground when the police began investigating Kranti Gavit's disappearance. But they resurfaced within days with the intention to kidnap Pratibha and Mohan Gavit's younger daughter. However, they were arrested while doing so. During the search of their house, Kolhapur police found several clothes of small children. The search team uncovered evidence of more kidnappings, such as discarded clothing of children and the mysterious presence of several children who were not locals in photographs of the birthday party celebrations of Renuka's children. Some of the clothes found even had blood stains on them. Who were these children? The police realized that this was not just a kidnapping case. Something much more sinister was waiting to be uncovered. An investigation was opened on the women and it would lead to shocking discoveries. During the investigation and related questioning, the women were unfazed. This was not new to them. and they already had hundreds of cases against them. But the police pushed harder and evidence against them was building. Eventually, Seema, the younger daughter, cracked and admitted to the kidnapping and killing of Kranti, but she said that it was all done under her mother's orders. The prosecution examined 156 witnesses during the trial, and then came the biggest turning point in the investigation. The case was strengthened after Kiran Shinde, Renuka's husband, who had also been arrested, confessed everything. He provided details of how the crimes were committed and bodies disposed of, and of the roles played by Anjana Bai, Renuka and Seema. He even showed the police the spots where they had disposed of the bodies. For his cooperation, he was pardoned by the court. Anjana Bai died in 1997 while in custody before the trial began, leaving her daughters behind to face the consequences of their actions. The Bombay High Court found the Gavit sisters guilty of majority of the crimes charged against them and awarded death sentence. 17 years ago, on 31st August 2006, the Supreme Court upheld the death penalty awarded by the Bombay High Court, making Gavit sisters first women in independent India to be hanged. Their mercy pleas were dismissed by the President, but with a considerable delay. The Bombay High Court on 18 February 2022 reduced their death sentence to life imprisonment on account of the state's delay in seeking a decision on their mercy petitions after the Supreme Court rejected their appeal. They will remain lodged at Pune's Yerwada jail for the rest of their natural lives. Was this punishment enough for their crimes? Do you think Seema and Renuka were also victims, conditioned and manipulated by their evil mother from a young age to become the monsters that they grew up to be? Their case highlights the debate of nature versus nurture and compels you to ask the question that whether the circumstances that you were raised in affect your actions as an adult. What do you think of this case? Let me know in the comments. The stories don't end here. Join me in this journey every Saturday at 9 p.m. to dive deep into the shadows, uncovering the tales that send shivers down your spine. If you're ready to embark on a journey into the unknown, hit that subscribe button and join our community of fellow mystery enthusiasts. Buckle up because it's about to get mysterious in here.